Right, so I've come into the workshop before everybody starts doing all the bits and pieces with the build up top of the garden. So what my intention is today is straight away I need to get the pond built in the garage. So that's going to be made out of sleepers. I'm going to use 4, 8. I'm probably going to use about 15 sleepers. So at the moment the sleepers are coming in at they're coming in around 30 quid each at the moment, which is absolutely crazy. So bearing in mind less than 18 months ago I was paying 14 quid each. So absolutely silly at the moment. I have acquired some sleepers that are they were described as slightly warped. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick video in the conservatory which will show you using some toy blocks how best way to put a sleeper tank together. So get back in a bit. Right, before we go into the conservatory, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some scale size wood to simulate simple sleepers. So you'll hear in a number of videos that I'll talk about scale sizes. So it might be 1/50th, it might be 1/8, it might be 1/25th. So to give you an example of how I do the scales, so if we think about a 8 foot by 4 foot sleeper, and I say that we're going to do 1/8 of the scale, so or 1/100th of the scale, depending on how we look at it, I'm going to turn feet into inches. So because there's 12 inches to a foot, and then scaling it that way, so you divide your 8 to your 12 to give you your scales. So the way that I'm going to do it for this, in simple terms, I'm going to use a 4 inch by 2 inch length of wood that we will then simulate as 8 foot by 4 foot. So literally doing it that way. So just show you what I mean now. So we have here an 4 by 2 piece of timber. Let me just get my so you've got your 4 inch there, look, or just over, so, and then you've got the other way around, you've got your 2 inch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this, I'm going to take it up, so we've got 8 inches, so that will be the equivalent to, in visual scale, your 8 foot. So you'll have 8 foot by 4 foot. Or 8, so do it that way, yeah. That thickness is just that thickness, so that's the way we're going to do it. So we'll have the length, which will be 2.4 meters, or just over 8 foot. And then what we'll do then is we'll simulate this by being your 8 inches by your 4 inches. So in effect, you've got your 4, which is an 8, and then your 2, which is a 4. So you're scaling that down from 8 foot, you're scaling down from 8 inches to 4 inches. And then you're scaling that down from 4 inches to 2 inches. Yeah, so I'll just quickly explain that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this off. To give me the 8 foot, I'm going to simulate that down as well. I'll get back to you in a second. Right, so first of all I'm going to show you how I set up the brackets. So brackets that we're going to use are going to be 2 different types of brackets. We're going to use that type of bracket, which is basically going to be the flat one. That will go across the sleeper, so if you can imagine the sleepers will be like this, and then the bracket will sit in between. We were going to stick on the benefit of the 2.4 metre length, or the 8 foot length, we're going to put 3 of those on. So we'll normally, probably the best way to do it is divide your 8 into 3, and then set it up. But then what you do, the next one, so you'll have 3 across on your first one, your second one you'll have them in between to make sure you're locking in. That's how we'll do it with those. I'll show you that after in the simulation in the conservatory. Also we're going to use these, which are corner brackets. Both of these you can get from Selco, you can get from B&Q, you can get from Screwfix. They normally come in packs of 25, so if you use 2 on each corner, so for each layer you're going to end up using 16 2, 4, 6. You're going to use 8, aren't you? So you use 8 of those, and then you use whatever ones that you're going to use for this. So you have 3, 6, 9, 12. So you probably use 12, between 12 and 15 of those. Now, obviously, a couple of issues that we've got with this now is because of the way that it's designed, and we're going to be putting some screws into it. What we want to do is make sure that we don't get any issues with the liner. So we'll probably end up using screws like this. So as you can see, it's got countersunk section, and you can see that that's flat. So obviously when we put that in and we screw that into the sleeper, potentially you're going to have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of countersinking. Countersinking is basically putting a chamfer inside that hole so that that screw fits flat to that. So what I'll do is I'll do a bit of setting up. I'll show you what it looks like on one of these first, so you can see what it's up against, and then we'll have a look at it. So this is what a countersinking tool looks like. Basically you can stick it in the end of a pillar drill, or you can stick it inside a normal everyday drill. What we're going to do is we're going to physically chamfer out that hole. There's a couple of ways you can do it. So obviously what I want to do is make sure that we're in a situation when you start drilling that hole, and as soon as it grabs, that's going to spin. We've always got to think about safety, so if you can imagine that spinning round, that's going to injure you. So a simple way to do it is a couple of screws, and all we're going to do is we're going to put a couple of screws in either side. So one there, we'll put one there, using obviously my park side, so that won't spin anywhere. It's got nowhere to go now. So what we can do then is we can then put the countersink into a standard drill. So I'll stick it inside a drill like that. All we do then is quite literally always don't set it to drill. So that's screw, that's drill. So if we set it to screw, it's actually quite slow. So if you look at that, that's quite slow. We want that in such a way, because all we're trying to do is take the edge off it. So all we're going to do, literally, is go through, and you can see, look, it's starting to produce swarf, which is what we want. Now, in some cases, people have got a voice, so you can do exactly the same thing using a voice. So just pulling it out now, you can see there, look, we've created a countersink. Let me just zoom that in, just bear me 2 seconds. So you can see there we've created a chamfer that goes inside. Now obviously we're going to take that down a little bit deeper to make sure that we've got enough for the screw in place. So again, we're doing exactly the same thing. So you can see that's the battery just dying. Just hold on, I'll quickly change the battery over. Try again. So as you can see, so all we're doing is we're just setting it up in such a way that it's just taking it out. There you go. So, oh, that's the, not very good with these selfies, so just bear with me a sec. Zoom out. So, you can see that's what we've done with that now. I don't like these selfie things. So what I'll do is I'll get back to you in a couple of seconds when I've detached this, and I can show you then how it fits with the screw inside. So hold on to a couple of seconds. Right, so we're back in the conservatory. I'm going to show you how to, well, I'm going to simulate building a sleeper pond in the conservatory. I've had a delivery of some sleepers, or simulated sleepers, shall we say. So let me turn you around and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I've had a delivery of some sleepers. I've got 4 foot, 8 foot. So this is 8 foot by 8 inches by 4 inches. So remember, this is being simulated. So going to create a QT tank that is going to be going into the pond, into the garage. And it's going to be 8 foot by 4 foot. I'm also going to use some brackets. So as you saw previously, I created some brackets and I countersunk them. So what I'm actually going to do is, by showing you how I do this, so I'll just quickly show you how we're going to simulate this. So as each one is being formed, like this, each corner will have a bracket in that will sit on each side like that. And then it'll be screwed in on each corner. On the sides, we're going to do the same, but we're going to do it slightly different. So what you'll actually have then, where you'll have, those will sit on there. So you'll probably have about, obviously I can't scale these down. So obviously you'd have a 3, then you'd have a 2, then you'd have a 3. And that would be the way you do that. So, when I'm going to build a pond, I'm going to do it upright like that. So, 2 like that, that will be slightly off. What we'll do then is this one will interlock into this side, and then this one will fit on here. So we'll put 2 screws in there, 2 screws in there, potentially 1 on each corner. We'll do the same this side, so then you can see that it's interlocked. And again, we'd have 2 screws there, we'd have 2 screws there. We'd have 1 that way, we'd have 1 that way. Your next layer would then interlock on the top of the previous one. So you'll see it locks in. You would then drill in from the bottom, screw in from the top into the next one. So that locks into place. You would do the same there. So you'd lock it that way like that. So then you'd screw in 2 there, screw in 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. You would then put your next 8 foot in, doing exactly the same. And again, you would screw that way, and then you put your 4 foot, would go on there. So you can see that they're being interlocked. Now, for the benefit of this, and for the one that's going to be in the garage, it's 4 high. So, again, that would be interlocked onto the top of there. That one then would be interlocked onto the top of that one. And as you can see, that's how you form the shape. So you'll do the same on here. And then what you'd do is you'd have your 4 foot that would go on there like that. Very, very simple, very, very effective. So then obviously what you'd have your brackets that would sit each one like that. And obviously you'd have your corner brackets which would fit in. Now, so this is basically an 8 foot by 4 foot. We can change it, so we'll say for argument's sake you want to build a 16 foot by 8 foot. The way that I would do it, I would still buy the same sleepers. I would cut the sleepers, so I'd cut 4 sleepers in half. So the way that I would do it would be, we'll build it this way. So I'd have 2 8s together, and then you'd interlock. The same would be again as what you previously did. The difference being now, the next layer that I'm going to build will have a 4, then an 8, and then a 4. So bearing in mind that would be interlocked underneath there like that. That way, doing it that way, you then avoid what they call the bulge. So I'll explain the physics around the bulge in a minute. It's called the bulge effect. So as you can see, you've got a 4, an 8 and a 4. You've got 2 8s and 2 8s. And you can continue the same process to come higher if you want to. Bearing in mind, we would then still stick the screws in all the way around. You would still put them in either side. and you would do it that way. Now this principle works as long as you interlock it in like this principle will work. What I would recommend is, if you're coming up, for argument's sake, say you're going to build a nice 8 foot by 8 foot, but you want it, I don't know, you want it 3 foot in the air, so 3 foot above ground, and you want it 2 foot underground. So, same principle is exactly the same. So we use the 8 foot by 8 foot, 8 foot long. So again, you would interlock the one that way, you one that way, and then you would do exactly the same. Same principle would be there. What you do then is, when you've got this down and these are all screwed in on this one level, you then dig into there by 2 feet. You can then do the same as what you've previously done. So you'll still do exactly the same. It'll still be exactly the same principle, but it comes together like that. And you would do exactly the same again. I'm just trying to do this just very, very quickly so you can see. So as you can see now, we'd actually interlock the top of that one. Would interlock into there like that. And then that one would interlock into that one. Now bearing in mind now that these are 8 inches, so 3 out of 24, so that would be the equivalent of 2 feet. So then you put another one on there, and then you could work it out. Rule of thumb is, if you want to be able to sit down on it or sit by the side of it, no more than 2.5 feet higher. So you can sit down on it nice and comfortable. What you want to do is be in such a way that if a child is by the side of it, so if you can imagine, their knees need to be below that, and that then helps. I'm not saying it's a perfect solution, I'm just saying it's an easier solution. So that is a simple way of building a slipper pond. So what we'll do now is, we'll go back into the garage, I'll put that together, and you can have a look at it. So, the bulge effect. Do this in, right, so the bulge effect, like anything, is gravity and the law of physics. So the law of physics is everything forces its way down. With water and other substances, it will go, but it will also push out. So the more pressure that's exerted this way, the more pressure that's created there. This then creates what they call the bulge effect. So you'll see it in things like swimming pools. So a lot of the in-tech swimming pools will have the same principle. To get round that, what you do is, if you can imagine you've got your sleepers, so you'll have your sleepers on top of each other like that. What you actually do then is dig down. Ideally, rule of thumb is, whatever the height is, try and match it, or just under for the bottom. So when the bulge effect's created, it's actually pushing on that. Now, you can't always do things like that. So, for example, for me in the garage, I can't, because I've got a concrete floor. So I can't dig, or I don't really want to dig into the concrete. So what I'm doing is ensuring that I have brackets all the way up. That will ensure that even if I do get the bulge effect, the brackets will actually help it. I will also have brackets which will interlock 2 together, and then I will have one like that. So what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to separate them in such a way that, and I'm sorry about my drawing, so we've still got the brackets this side, and we've got a bracket this side, like this. So what I'm trying to do is ensure that I can't get these to separate or bulge out. I can't prevent that then, so I can't, so the water will not be able to push out, because bear in mind, it's screwed in there on all of them, and it's also screwed down that way as well. So it also takes away the need, I'm not saying it's a perfect solution, if you use 300mm Timberflex bolts or 250mm Timberflex bolts, my advice would be, if you've got a sleeper, get yourself a spade cutter. With the spade cutter, cut in half. So just using the spade cutter, go in half into your sleeper. So when you go into your next sleeper, which will go there, and then your third sleeper, which will be there, by spade cutting it in, the head will sit there, but the screw will go through the three. So your head will sit there, and your screw will go through the three. So you literally, so this, bearing in mind, is 200mm. So each one of these is 200. If I go into 100, that leaves me 100 in that one, 200 in that one, and 100 in that one. So I can then use a 300mm screw, in theory. I can go into two sleepers. Sorry, not three, it's two. So I'd go 100 into this one and then 200 into this one using a 300. Or I can go 100 and 150 going into with the 250 screw. And then obviously you'd screw there, 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 and there. But on your next one, you'd go in between them. So you'd do that. So, hope you understand that. I know I'm not the world's best doing stuff like that, but that's because I'm from the Black Country. So we'll go back to the next bit. Right, good morning. So take you through a few bits and pieces. So I've put in a quarantine tank in the garage. That's been made out of sleepers. The way that I've set it up is a 8x4 sleeper that's on 2.4 metres in length. And what I've done is I've set it up in such a way so you've got two 8-foots and a 4-foot. So a 2.4 metre and a 1.2 metre. I've got them tipped up on the side. They've been interlocked in with rebar. And some substantial screws, which are these bad boys. So these are 250mm in length. The way that I've set them up as well is I've drilled halfway through the sleeper, screwed it in with an extension bar, so it actually goes through 3 sleepers. I will be honest with you, the sleepers aren't the world's best. I did buy them in at £18 each. And they did describe them as slightly warped. That's a bit of an understatement. But what I've also done as well is took a trip up to Wakefield in West Yorkshire, picked up a couple of blades. I wanted to use those as an experiment as well, mainly for the project that I've got up at the top of the garden. I'm also going to set up I have shown you set up a pressure filter. So everybody knows how to put sleepers together. Everybody knows how to put a liner in. What I would always recommend is when you put a sleeper pond together and you do them on the side, always use brackets on the edges and on the corners, and always use them on the edges as well. That'll stop any float out altogether, and it does keep everything nice and secure. I've gone to Bradshaw's Direct to get the liner. Comes with a 40-year guarantee. Obviously guarantees are guarantees. You have to use their liner. What I have done is I've double laid the liner so that everybody's got a good understanding of that, to make sure all the brackets and everything are covered. Used 40mm house, and I've also used 28mm house. So I'm using a BioEase 3500 pump into an All Pond Solutions pressure filter that then runs straight into a blade. let me show you. So that's what it looks like. Now, it's a nice little tidy little system. Does exactly what it says on the tin. What I've done is I've raised that up. That will be modified a little bit further down the line. The reason why I've got it slightly higher than the pond is in the event of me having any issues, I can then resolve it very, very quickly. It's, according to the meter, it's 2,200 litres, but I actually think it's bigger than that. I'll give you a more specific one when I get a chance. What I've also done as well is put some little pretty lights in. So obviously it's quite substantial, as you can see. Normally in my usual substantial way. And we've got some nice little pretty lights in there as well. Obviously it's got a interchangeable locking system on it. So you can see now it's got those nice little lights in there. Just to take the edge off, make it a little bit nicer in here. So obviously when the garage doors down, it's quite dark in here. So it'll just show you that bit as well. So obviously we've got the pond sitting, we've got the pump sitting in the bottom there, and obviously that runs straight into that filter, runs down the back, and then runs into a beautiful, beautiful blade. Believe it or not, in my negotiations I always do. So that's a 600mm blade. Got it from a company called Wakefield Koi. They were selling them on. They got them on eBay. And I was selling them for around the £100 mark, or that was what they retailed at. They were on eBay. Got them for 50 quid. So I said, I'll have two. So I've got that one that's there, which I'm using as an experiment, and then the other one is going to be used on the main pond at the top. So that'll basically show you the first bit that I've done for that. Like I said, it's very, very simple. See that they are quite warped as well, both sides. So they're warped down there as well, look, as you can see. It looks like it's on an angle. We've had to pack it up slightly this side because of how badly warped the sleepers are. But yeah, as you can see, the water is relatively level. Obviously I'm going to put a bit more water in there a little bit further later on. For some strange reason, I don't know why, the lights aren't working in the corner. And it's weird because the lights stop working there, and it's almost like there's a break or something there, but then when the line continues round, they start working again. So I might have to have a look at that, or just replace the whole thing. But like I said, there's no fish in here at the moment. This is just a quarantine tank. What I will do is put the couple of females in here a little bit later on, in preparation for the breeding that we're going to be doing. So yeah, so that's just a little bit of information of what we've got so far on this setup. And as we're going along, I'll keep updating you. So catch you soon. Right, so we've come down to, well, come up to Leeds, come pick up a few female fish that we're going to be sticking in the pond in the garage. A couple of experiments that we're going to be doing over the next 4 to 6 weeks, see if we can do it. So we've just acquired a Chewy, absolutely fantastic condition, absolutely to die for. We've got a Kohaku. Trace has picked up another Sankey because she's got a thing about Sankeys, which is fine. And picked up a Kei Itsuru, so I'm really happy chicken. So just to show you roughly where we are today, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Obviously he's quite passionate about what he does. Well, he's got a fantastic bar there, look. Absolute to die for. I'm absolutely jealous. So got a fantastic waterfall in there. Absolutely stunning. And as you can see, he's got some babies in there as well. So just to give you a quick update on that. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going up to our pools and trying to see if we can sort out some his filtration, because he's got a problem with his filtration. I'm trying to see if we can drop some bits and pieces off. So yeah, we'll carry on. Thanks a lot, see you later. So I've made a few modifications now to the QT tank in the garage. I'm really happy with the lights. In the one corner they were broken, so what I've done is I've made a couple of slight changes. I'll show you so what I've done now is I've got the LED lights that are sitting just on the one edge now, just to make it easier, so it actually looks better, to be fair. Blade slightly out of position at the moment, but it's because I'm just doing a few experiments, trying to get the flow and stuff like that sorted. I've put some salt in there. There's about a kilo of salt that's gone in, and that's in preparation for putting a couple of females in here for the time being. Try and get everything stabilised, try and get the filter seeding up as well, so I'll get that sorted. But yeah, looking pretty good at the moment. Taking a delivery as well today from a company called Tuffex, and we have now got a window ready to go in, so that's going to be going into the pond at the top of the garden. That is a 1200 by 900 window, which is 25mm thick. Cotton koi coming in at about 390 something quid. From Tuffex, 264 quid including delivery. A fantastic bloke coming at me, get it in here as well. I've got to be honest here, I will big up Tuffex today, tomorrow and 3 times on a Sunday. That window is absolutely fantastic. The customer service is second to none. And it is just a minor downside. They did say they was going to give us notification of when it was actually going to be delivered. I was going to give a 24 hours notice. I actually got half an hour, so it was a good job I was actually off. But yeah, apart from that, mate, very, very happy. Things are starting to come together really, really good. I love this blade. I think this blade's brilliant, and I think the moonlighting does look quite effective as well. So if you bear with us a second, I'll shut the roller shutter door. So obviously you'll see that in its own natural glory. So yeah, I think you'll agree that that's turned out really well, to be fair. So yeah, so really pleased with that. Really pleased with how it's turned out. So then we'll be on to the next stage in probably 4 or 5 days. So this is just a quick update on where we are with the QT tank. I'll get back to you soon.